long distance love.
Yes.
You with it or not?
Lego. Passing the prime.
Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, Ashley Empowers. I'm Ashley.
And I'm Character.
And thank you for tuning into this episode of the Doing Dating Right show. So on this show, we answer the questions that you guys send in about your relationships, your walk with God, or really anything in general. And Carrington is going to read the question today.
So the question today says this. I met my spouse on social media back in June 2020, and we got married February 2021. Currently, we are in a long-distance relationship because when I met him, he was in Georgia and I was in Texas. We are currently still living in separate states because he's fighting a custody battle. We both agreed that once the custody case with his son was clear, that we would move to Texas. Everything was going well until we both started focusing on our dreams and purposes. When I met him, we were both working on our God-given purposes, and now I have a ministry that is growing and expanding. Because of the expansion of my ministry, I haven't had the same amount of time to talk to him over the phone or FaceTime as much as I used to when I was at the beginning stages of growing my ministry. But I have found balance in both being a wife, mother, and working on my ministry. But because we're still long distance and my ministry has grown, I haven't had much time for him as I used to. There's times he will be sarcastic and say, just put me last and take care of your ministry. And that makes me feel like I have to choose between my God-given purpose or my marriage. Our marriage is failing ever since I became more busy in ministry, along with trying to maintain a long-distance marriage. I'm at a point now where I want to save my marriage, but I also have an assignment for the Lord. What do I do in this situation?
This is a really great question. Lots of red flags here for me. First one, long distance. You got married after 9 months in a long distance relationship. You know, well, I'll do an upcoming video about my view on long distance relationships. But to me, it sounds like you guys got married, number one, too soon. Number three,
Number two
is the fact that these, you know, when you're in that first year of marriage, you guys need to do everything you can to get together, right? So you're supposed to leave and cleave. Mm-hmm. That first year is about you guys cleaving together. So you guys need to rearrange schedules, rearrange lives. If you need to move to where he is, that's what needs to happen so you guys can be cleaving. Number three, the Bible says that it's better to be single so you can focus on the works of God. When you're married, you have to balance your ministry and your first ministry, which is your family, and tending to your home.
100%.
And you see this so many times where pastors, their marriages will fall apart because they're not tending and prioritizing their home. 100%. And that's exactly what it sounds like you're not doing. So my number one piece of advice is you guys need to relocate to be with one another so you can really cleave together.
Definitely. And I was looking up a verse, but I guess my wording is wrong, so I can't really find it. I'm going to have to find it, though. But I believe it's in Deuteronomy, and it talks about how when you get married, like when your first year of marriage, you don't need to be focusing on anything else, right? You need to be fully focused on the marriage and do nothing outside of the marriage. And the reason why is
literally.
Because, that ain't what it literally say, but
yeah,
that's how it can be interpreted, let me say. And so because of that, I believe 100% that in your first year of marriage, you don't need to do nothing outside of work and marriage. And the reason why is because you guys are in a process of transitioning and cleaving and being cemented together. And as you touched on it, when it comes to ministries, like marriage is your primary ministry over anything outside of that, right? And let's look at it from a priorities perspective, right? The Bible tells us or gives us what our top three priorities are, right? Which is God, self, and then others, right? Matthew chapter 22, he tells you, right? So go read Matthew chapter 22. And so this is the thing. That number three spot is others, but others has levels, right? And if you're married, the first other is not your kids. The first other is your spouse, your significant other. And so when we look at priorities, you're supposed to prioritize your spouse over anybody, over any and everybody outside of yourself and God, right? And the reason why is because God has to be the foundation of everything and needs to be primary. And then you, because you can't be the spouse that you need to be if you're not prioritizing taking care of yourself. And so when you look at this marriage and this relationship, like as you said, y'all definitely 100% move pretty fast. And the fact that you guys got married without actually spending, I would say, adequate time, not in a relationship, but more so around each other in a relationship, I feel like y'all definitely jumped the gun and y'all need to slow down. But because you guys are married now, you guys have to be intentional about that cleaving process, about coming together and prioritizing the growth and the being cemented together, the cleaving together, so that you have the foundation necessary to build whatever God desires to do with, in, and through y'all and y'all
Bottom
marriage.
line, marriage, there's sacrifices that take place. And we're not saying that you can't focus on your ministry, but we are saying being 8 months into a marriage that is already failing because you're not prioritizing properly and you guys are still separate after being married is not a good foundation to
Well, actually only
start.
3 years though. I mean 3 months in the marriage.
Oh, excuse me. Yeah, after 3 months in the marriage, this is not a good foundation for you guys to start off on.
Yeah.
So if you're able to temporarily relocate or get a better idea, because custody battles, they can go on for a long time. So I hope you had a great understanding of how long that custody battle is predicted to take. Are they on the final stages? Like what's really going on? So, but definitely the biggest piece of advice for you to take away is this is the season for you guys to be cleaving together. You have to learn how to prioritize all that God is calling you to do and just really seeking him and praying for him and praying that he give you wisdom on how to balance everything he's called you to do.
For sure.
So thank you for sending in this question. If anyone else has questions, email us at
info@802gametime.com.
Make sure you're following us on social media. I'm at Ashley Empowers.
And I'm at the Character Brown.
And you guys comment below.
If you would be okay being married to somebody in a different state, long distance love,
yes.
you with it or not?
Let
I
us
ain't
know.
doing it.
Let us know in the comments below.